Putin is continuing to advance into Korea.
When did we beat Japan at anything?
To disperse with 30 bullets within half a second. 30 magazine clip in half a second.
Right now, if you Google the word idiot, a picture of Donald Trump comes up. I just did that.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Hello and welcome once again to the Political Circus Weekly Podcast. I am your host, Mike Ursery, and you are listening to episode number 38. So I didn't put out an episode last week. I had a really busy week last week, and I just wasn't able to get an episode recorded, and I apologize for that. I'm sure you all look forward to these every week. And with that being said, I have some unfortunate news. This will be my last episode of this podcast. And the reason why, I won't really go into details. I did get a new job. And with this new job, I really won't be able to be a part of Think Liberty or being libertarian anymore. I'm not enthusiastic about leaving Think Liberty or leaving being libertarian or no longer doing this podcast. But after giving it some thought, this is unfortunately the right decision to make for my chosen career. So as far as what will happen with this podcast, I don't know if it's going to stop or if someone else is going to take the reins. There are people at the Think Liberty Network who are more than capable of taking over this podcast and producing great content for all of you to listen to every Saturday. But that is completely up to them. I've already spoke with them and told them my decision. They're not happy about seeing me go, but they respect my decision. So, I started this last October, and I've had a lot of fun with this. I started this really because I just wanted to know what podcasting was like. I had thought about it for a while. I thought about what would be like to do a podcast. What would it be like to not really do something too opinionated, just something going over what's happening. Yes, I put a little bit of my own opinion in with it, but mostly, being a journalist, I just like to report the news. And I think I did a pretty good job of reporting the news for what it was. Yeah, I kind of give my own take on it, but would you listen to this if this was just a straight news reporting podcast and I not share some of my own thoughts? Probably not. But I have gotten some good feedback from some of my listeners on this, and that is greatly appreciated. And I hope that everyone who listens to this every week, I hope that everyone has been able to enjoy this as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. So with this final episode, I'm not really going to go too much into detail about this last news cycle because, frankly, way too much has happened and a lot more is still going to happen. All I'm going to say is we are entering a time, we really are going forward into the unknown right now with everything that's happening because we just had 2 mass shootings. But in the aftermath, before when you had a mass shooting, you would have people on one side talking about gun control. And then people on the other side were resisting it. Now you have lawmakers on both sides talking about gun control, talking about red flag laws, and you also have the President of the United States talking about red flag laws. And this is not the first time that he has talked about gun control. I'm sure you remember after the Parkland shooting, his take the guns first, go through due process later comment, which his handlers quickly snatched him up and told him, no, you can't say that. But once again, you have the President of the United States talking about gun control, talking about red flag laws. And then you have other Republicans talking about gun control and voicing support for red flag laws. People who call themselves conservatives, no less, like Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw talking about the need for red flag laws. You know, to call yourself a conservative, to call yourself a Republican, and voice support for taking people's rights away, that is really low. To be a veteran of the United States military and do that is inexcusable. Completely inexcusable. You know, I really hate the phrase as a veteran, because if I were to say that before saying something, that would make it sound like I'm speaking for all veterans, which I don't. I only speak for myself. But as a veteran, to say that is really pathetic. And I'm really upset with Dan Crenshaw for saying that. But maybe there could be one good thing from this, and that is that maybe people will finally wake up from the charade that the GOP doesn't actually believe in limited government. No, the GOP actually believes in big government, but they believe in their own version of it. See, the Democrats have their version of big government. The Republicans have their own version of big government. And not only that, but I think you also might be seeing that Donald Trump's inner Democrat is seeping out more and more. But who knows where this is going to end up? For all we know, this could be like all the other incidents where an event occurs. There is a lot of discussion for a little bit, but then the next thing happens and then people stop talking about it. And this could be the very same thing. But one thing you are seeing with this, as far as the shootings themselves, one thing you are seeing with this is that people keep arguing about the wrong things. Because take, for example, the El Paso shooter. I'm not going to say his name because I'm just not going to say his name. The El Paso shooter had a motive. The El Paso shooter was a white supremacist who believed a lot of white supremacist things, and it was reported that he had told authorities later that he wanted to kill as many Mexicans as possible. I mean, he even drove, I think he's from like the panhandle of Texas. He drove from the Texas panhandle down to El Paso on the U.S.-Mexico border to do what he did. He drove a long distance to do that. So we understand his motive. And of course, people are going on and on about how so many mass shooters are white males and how they are white supremacists and how white supremacy is domestic terrorism and white supremacy is a problem in America. And then you have Tucker Carlson doing his bit on Fox News talking about how white supremacy is just a hoax and people are exaggerating the problem. And it's, you know, these arguments get us nowhere. They get us absolutely nowhere. It's just people screaming back and forth. And then you have the guy in Dayton, the shooter in Dayton, who opened fire on a bar. And he's dead. We don't understand his motive. His sister was one of the victims, but we don't know if he was specifically targeting his sister or what he did. So you go through this guy's social media and you see that he's a leftist. He voiced support for Elizabeth Warren. He talked a lot about how Nazis and fascists must die and all this other stuff. And now people are talking about how this guy's a leftist. He's probably a member of Antifa, which we don't really know that for sure. And now it's like, just, you take the whole white supremacist argument, but replace white supremacist with Antifa, and you have the same exact argument. And once again, these discussions get us nowhere. And I shouldn't even really call these discussions. These arguments, these fights back and forth that people have, get us nowhere. Meanwhile, you have the government talking about red flag laws and gun control. So, look, I don't know, personally, I don't know how to solve the mass shooting thing that's going on in America. I don't. I can throw out numbers about how there are other ways people die. That's not going to do any good. You can talk about medical mishaps. You can talk about car accidents. You can talk about deaths by, or murder by hammer and screwdriver and knife and hands and feet. That doesn't get us anywhere. All I'm going to say is, it's not so much that people have access to guns that people are dying. No. What is the thing that is driving these people to do the things that they do? And what is causing people to act on this urge to take someone else's life? What is it? Because not every mass shooting has been related to white supremacy. Not every mass shooting has been related to who someone supports. Not every mass shooting has been related to political ideology. No, what is the thing? What is the cause? What is the root cause that is causing people to do this? And yeah, we talked a lot about mental illness, but that's still not really getting to the root of the problem. What is driving people to do this? See, this is what people should be talking about. This is the discussion we should be having, but we're not, because people are so entrenched in their own side. Tribalism is worse now than probably ever has been, and nothing gets done. Nothing will ever get done as long as people keep reacting the way that they react. That's all I'm going to say about that. At the same time, our government is talking about what they want to do as far as the Second Amendment, as far as guns. You have some people warning that this could be the end of the Second Amendment. Well, it doesn't quite work like that. No, you would have to amend the Constitution to end the Second Amendment, and good luck getting 38 states to be on board with that. But at the same time, watching these Democratic debates and seeing everything else that people in power would like to do if given the opportunity. Yes, we're still talking about universal health care. We're still talking about the government taking over the economy with the Green New Deal. You've got Elizabeth Warren talking about public broadband. Because I'm sure there's going to be no incidents of government abuse with that. Am I right? You have John Delaney talking about this mandatory national call to service. No. Going forward, I don't know what to expect. I'm sure you all don't know what to expect either. I'm not trying to sit here and preach doom and gloom for the future, but, I don't know. It's kind of scary when you look at it, when you look at what's going on. But I really kind of wonder what I would be talking about each week going forward if I were still doing this. But anyway, I really have enjoyed doing this every week, and I'm glad that, whenever I started this out, I think my first week I might have had like maybe 50 listeners, but by the end, I was averaging between 180 and 200 listeners. So this was going in the right direction, and more people were listening to it, and people kept listening to it. So I was doing something right. But thank you to all of you who did listen. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate some of the constructive criticism I got while doing this. I had a lot of fun doing it. But like I said, I didn't really share too many opinions before. But since this is my last episode, I think I will go all out and just say what I think about certain things and about certain people. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. If you'll excuse me, I have a few bones to pick. Donald Trump. Okay, first of all, get off Twitter. Get off Twitter. Stop tweeting because you tweet like a moron. Also, you don't know how to spell. So, yes, just please stop tweeting. And, you don't have to say something about every single person who says something bad about you. You are the president of the United States. How long have you been a public figure? So you know that people are not going to like you. You know people are going to say things about you that you won't like. Well, now you're no longer a New York billionaire. Now you are the president of the United States. So that hate and that disdain is amplified. You don't have to go after every single person who says something bad about you. It makes you look like a child. Oh, yeah, and I would say thanks for giving me a tax break, but you keep increasing spending and our deficit keeps on rising. So really, what good was that tax break? Quit bragging about lower taxes when spending keeps going up, because while people may be keeping more money now, people are going to be paying for this later on, because our debt just passed 22 trillion. Whenever you assumed office, the debt was at 21 trillion. You haven't even finished your first term yet, and the debt's already past 22 trillion. So stop bragging about that. Trump supporters, you guys, wow. So this is not directed at every single Trump supporter, because there are Trump supporters who are pretty level-headed, but the ones who act like everything is some part of some grand plot, 4D chess. Trump is playing chess with the Democrats. Trump is doing this because he's trying to get the Democrats to hate gun control. He's trying to get the Democrats to hate spending. He's trying to get the Democrats to hate whatever. No, look, you're going to have to realize that Trump is not perfect. Trump makes mistakes. He's going to keep making mistakes. He's probably going to get reelected, but he's going to make more mistakes in his second term. Please just stop acting like he's some holy deity. The GOP, the grand old party. What are you? Seriously, what are you? Because, are you guys conservative? Are you more moderate? Are you for limited government? Are you actually for big government? Please answer this question, because you guys are all over the place. In one breath, you guys will talk about how you're pro-life and how we need to stop giving money to Planned Parenthood. And then in the next breath, you're talking about how you just passed a bill that funds Planned Parenthood. You're talking about the need for reducing spending. And then in the next breath, you're adding to the military budget and the deficit keeps on climbing. So figure out exactly what it is you want to be, because this little charade of conservative limited government is wearing off, and eventually people are going to stop falling for it. The Democrats. Oh, where do I even start with all of you? Oh, gosh. I feel like there's not enough I can say about this, because wow, you all have been consumed by identity politics, and you've created a monster that you can no longer control. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Well, first of all, you're probably going to lose again in 2020 because you can't seem to find the right candidate. You're either going to nominate Joe Biden against the will of the people, even though you're all about mud democracy, or you're going to nominate someone like Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, and they're going to be embarrassed on the debate stage when they try to go against Donald Trump because they don't know how to debate him. Oh, by the way, if you nominate Warren, get ready for tons of Pocahontas jokes because, if you think you've heard them too many times already, get ready. Yes. By the way, why are you letting Cory Booker run? That's just hilarious. The DNC, the Democrat National Committee. You know, after your epic fail in 2016 where you got exposed, I kind of thought that you would have seen the error of your ways and you would not have tried any shenanigans for the 2020 election. But right now, with some of the reports that I've seen in the news, I'm starting to wonder if maybe that's not the case because you have two of your candidates who are not establishment candidates who are crying foul. You have Andrew Yang, who during the first debate said his mic was turned off and he was not able to speak. And then he also said that he was not able to at first qualify for, I think it was the September debate, because supposedly a poll that he had used to show his qualification was deemed invalid by the DNC. And then you have Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard has filed a lawsuit against Google because Google suspended her Google ad account shortly after the second Democratic debate in which she was the most Google candidate. Now, I'm pretty sure the DNC did not tell Google to suspend her Google ad account, but the fact that the DNC did not say a word about it, Google, you could call this meddling in an election. You could call this meddling in a primary, which no one's going to talk about because, well, the Democrats obviously don't want Tulsi Gabbard to get anywhere near the nomination. But just the fact that you've been talking so much about Russian meddling and attacks on our democracy, and then you have a giant big tech corporation attacking our democracy. Well, not our democracy because I'm not voting in that primary, but attacking democracy and meddling in an election, and the DNC does not say a single word about it. So while you're not owned by Hillary Clinton this time, you still have not learned a thing. You still have not. I can already see that your primary is headed for a dumpster fire, and you're just going to stand idly by and do nothing about it. Have fun losing in 2020. The National Libertarian Party. I don't even know what to say because National Libertarian Party basically is irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. And being a libertarian and saying that is just pathetic. Look, you can go on and on about the two-party system. You can go on and on about how the system is rigged against you, but what have you done to help yourselves? You really haven't. Because, promoting people like Gary Johnson and Bill Weld to be your nominees, to be the people that you want to send to the White House, and, are you guys ever going to get out of your own way? Your messaging sucks. Your strategy sucks. You refuse to listen when people try to offer suggestions of how you can improve your message and how you can improve your outreach, but you refuse to listen to them. And, well, you're going to poll less than 3% in the 2020 election again. Remember when 2016 was supposed to be the year? Yeah, that didn't go so well, did it? Well, it's going to be even worse in 2020. Libertarians. Guys, look, whenever you are talking to people who are not libertarians and you're trying to explain to them the concept of liberty, try to avoid using these key words: bootlicker, statist, cuck, skyclock. Look, there are people outside the liberty movement who love things like taxes and public services and the American flag. You're going to have to accept that. You do not win over hearts and minds by insulting the things that people care about. Too many libertarians try to be edgy. Instead of educating the people that they're trying to reach, instead they insult and push away the people they're trying to reach. And this is why the liberty movement does not grow. The reason why liberty is dying in America is not just because of Republicans, not just because of Democrats. It's also because of libertarians, because of the way that they act. Have a rational, civil conversation. Explain things. Educate people. Don't insult people. Otherwise, you're going to get nothing done. You're going to be about as effective as the National Libertarian Party. I would like to thank everyone at Think Liberty and at Being Libertarian. It is a pleasure knowing all of you. It's been a pleasure to work with all of you. I would like to thank Eric July and the Being Libertarian Multimedia Department. I would like to extend a huge thank you to Vinnie Marshall, Caitlin Cloven, and Killian Hobbs for bringing me on to Think Liberty and giving me the opportunity to write for the website. I started it around this time a year ago, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. I would like to thank Drew Laser for producing all of these episodes, and thank you for editing out all of the mistakes that I would make in some of these recordings. I'd like to thank William Gaston for filling in for me when I was away, and I would like to thank all of you for listening to and reading my work. For Think Liberty, this is Mike Ursery, signing off.
And thing sucks!